Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. This is actually my second time recording this. I got about halfway through it, and while I was showing one of the albums, it bumped my mouse apparently and shut it off. So that's always awesome. So let's just jump into it. I am going to show some recent purchases that I've made. None of this is vinyl, or excuse me, is thrift store finds. This is all stuff that I've picked up at different record stores or different music outlets in the past couple of weeks. So let's go ahead and get started here. This is a couple of records that I've been looking at for probably 2 months. They've been in a CD warehouse. Which is one of the places that I frequent. I usually stop in about once a week just to see, usually on Mondays, because I usually stock up their vinyl over the weekend. So this is actually the first American or U.S. album and the first European album from this band. It's a rockabilly band from Glasgow, the Shaken Pyramids. It was a band I wasn't familiar with before I actually saw these albums at CD Warehouse. I saw them for a couple of weeks. I was pretty sure just by the image on the front that it was a rockabilly band. So I looked them up maybe the second or third time that I saw these albums when I got home on YouTube and kind of dug them. It's definitely in the same vein as Stray Cats. I mean, it's definitely a second wave rockabilly sound. Really good stuff though. Just kind of their story in the back there. Very good album, so very clean. I picked this one up for $9.99. I think I picked up the US one for $5.99. Really good rockabilly though. So again, this is the US or their first album, which was only released in Europe. Their second album was only released in Europe as well, and then their third album is a US release. It's just called The Shaken Pyramids, and it's kind of a combination of their first two albums. It's kind of got the best songs from their first two albums on it, but and this one was a stamped promo, so I went ahead and picked that up as well. But really cool band. If you like rockabilly, definitely check them out. If you like the Stray Cats or any of that kind of rockabilly Americana sound, they're worth checking out. You may dig them. Let's see, the first album was from 81. I think this one is 83. Yeah. So 83. So some early rockabilly there if you're so inclined. Let's pull out the ones that I've already shown. Next up, the same day that I bought that, I also picked up News of the World from Queen. This is actually probably my favorite Queen album. Let's see if we can get the shot of the gatefold. And you can actually pick this one up pretty cheap online. The reason I went ahead and picked this one up at $8 is it's an original pressing. Original insert with liner notes, or excuse me, with lyrics. So I definitely wanted to pick this up and add to my collection. I am a Queen fan, not enough to go out and purchase every album that they have, but this is one of them that was on my list. I also like Innuendo, and there's a few others that I really dig. So Queen, News of the World. Let's see. The next one, I picked this one up Thursday, maybe. It may have been yesterday. This was to kind of fill a hole in my collection. This is Paranoid from Black Sabbath. This is the Rhino Records repress. I've actually been looking for this for a while in good condition, and I just never see it. I run across copies of Paranoid about once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks. I mean, it's a very common album. They're just always in horrible condition. It's kind of like Back in Black from AC/DC. Every time I find a copy of that, it's just scratched and beat up or just completely wore out. So I finally ran across a copy of the repress and picked it up. So probably my second favorite Sabbath album. My favorite is actually Sabbath 4, but this one, some of the best songs, War Pigs, Paranoid, Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, Fairies Wear Boots, Iron Man, Planet Caravan, all amazing songs. Just a great album from beginning to end. Oh, let's see. Next up, Dead Kennedys. Give Me Convenience or Give Me Death. This was actually my very first Dead Kennedys album that I got. Not this particular one. I got it on cassette in probably 91 or 92. And that just kind of turned me on to Dead Kennedys from that point on, and I was a fan of theirs. I ended up buying everything that they had on cassette, and then when I had the money, I bought it on CD, and I guess now it's time to get it on vinyl. The only downside to buying new copies of the Dead Kennedys is this is one of those bands where the band split up in the late '80s. Jello Biafra kind of went his own route with the spoken word and doing side projects, and he still owns Alternative Tentacles, which is a great record label. The band decided a number of years later that they wanted to capitalize off the Dead Kennedys, and they wanted to be able to sell some of the songs. I know that I think it was a Ford commercial or something that was using one of their songs, which is ridiculous if you know anything about the Dead Kennedys. But they were basically selling their songs to corporations. Jello Biafra wanted no part of that, so the rest of the band ended up suing him for rights to the music, which this is one of those situations I never got because he wrote most of the music. It was on his label. He owned all the rights to it, yet somehow they were able to prevail in the end. So now not only does he not have any say in what happens with the name of the band that he created, but they've now been released on another label. So I almost didn't buy it, but I mean, the fact is I still love the Dead Kennedys, and when the originals I just think are a little bit overpriced. So there we go. Let's see. Next up, two of the best albums from the 80s. I bought one last Saturday and I bought one today. The one I picked up last Saturday is Substance from New Order. This probably is my favorite album from the 80s. Did I say 70s a minute ago? I meant the 80s if I didn't. I mean, this is I think this is probably their biggest album anyway, but this was definitely my favorite. I just kind of picked this one up by accident. I was in one of the local record stores that I frequent, and this is a record I'm always looking for. You never find it, and when you do see it online, it's always $30-$35, which isn't a big deal. I just never got around to buying it, you know. Regardless, I had picked up a Riot album and was paying for it, and the store owner mentioned that he had another Riot album somewhere in one of his stacks behind him, and asked if I wanted to wait while he looked. And he looked through it, couldn't find it, but when he was flipping through, I noticed that he had this sitting there. So we pulled it out, took a look at it. I asked what he wanted for it. He told me $20. I pointed out a couple of cracks. He said, "How about 12?" I said, "How about 10?" And I walked out with it. I'm sorry, not cracks, a couple of small scratches. In the grand scheme of things, they don't affect the play. You can't hear them at all. So I was very happy with that. But so I picked up an excellent copy of New Order Substance. The only thing I don't like about this is I hate when they take a double album and throw it into a single sleeve. That's just something that's always annoyed the hell out of me. But again, Substance from 1987. Amazing, amazing album. This is one that everybody should have, no matter what genre of music you're into. And the other of my favorite albums from the 80s is Violator from Depeche Mode. I also like Music for the Masses. It's a close second for me. This was my number one favorite album from theirs, though. I was real happy when I heard that they were going to re-release them. I haven't even opened it yet. I literally just got home with this about an hour ago. Amazing album, though. Another album from the 80s that I think everybody should have in their collection, regardless of the music that you're into. So, again, Violator. Next up is the Gaslight Anthem, handwritten. Great album. I highly recommend this one to anybody. Really nice gatefold with their story here and their lyrics. It's on beautiful clear blue vinyl. And the packaging on this is just phenomenal. There's the vinyl. That's probably my new favorite, is the clear blue. Um, but the packaging in general, if you look at it, it's got this beautiful insert, upside down, custom labels, really nice gatefold, and one of the coolest thing. Let's see if I can find some light. On the inside of the packaging, they've got a picture as well. Let's see if I can get that without damaging it. You can see which is cool too. I love these little tiny things that bands do to make their vinyl stand out. That's one of the favorites that I've picked up recently, just when it comes to packaging. I love when bands just kind of go out of their way a little bit to make the packaging a little more special for the collectors and us collectors out there. The Melvins are great at doing that. The Melvins have some of the most amazing packaging I've ever seen. Next up, this one I owe to you guys in the VC. I had never heard of this band, and I kept hearing or seeing people show their record, and I finally checked them out on Pandora or something like that one day and really dug them. So Neutral Milk Hotel. This is In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. Great album. I love the artwork all the way around. Very cool. Very nice custom. I've also listened to their first album. I haven't picked it up yet though, but I'm going to be looking for that one as well and picking that one up. And then here's your insert, which is very cool. So great album. It's another one that I recommend. Next up, I also got these at CD Warehouse. I just got all of these yesterday, I believe. They had a couple of copies of Eagles. First up was Eagles, The Long Run. I paid $5 a piece for the Eagles albums. My mother loved the Eagles and Creedence Clearwater. That was her two favorite bands. So those are two bands that just through listening to them my whole life that I really like. So, and one of those nights. This is one of my favorite album covers from the Eagles. This one and the Desperado album cover is also very cool. It's in the same vein, that matte finish. I've always really liked their album covers. And these are original pressings with both have the original inserts. So, but I paid $4.99 each for those. I also picked up Willie Nelson, The Sound in Your Mind. Huge fan of Willie Nelson. These two albums that I picked up have both been sitting at CD Warehouse for about a month and a half, and I kept saying I was going to buy, or kept wanting to buy them, and I'd find something else that I liked a little bit more. But Willie Nelson, if I could have all of his albums, I would, which is saying a lot. He's got about 120 different albums out there. This one is really cool. This is Danny Davis and Willie Nelson with the Nashville Brass. It's basically Willie Nelson playing over a brass section, some of his hits. And I tell you what, it sounds amazing. I was really blown away. I didn't catch the Nashville Brass part when I first grabbed this, and I wasn't sure who Danny Davis was. I just assumed it was another country singer. Apparently he's the head of the Nashville Brass. But so I was just expecting another one of Willie's duets. I mean, he's got a bunch of them. He's done duets with just about everybody. And I was blown away when it's just all I heard was Willie Nelson's voice over this really cool brass section. But Rainy Day Blues is on here, Nightlife, Funny How Time Slips Away, Good Hearted Woman, Yesterday's Wine. Just a great album. And this is one I had to actually add to Discogs. I mean, there was a picture of it and the name, and it was all screwed up. So I took the time and actually added all the information and added this one in there. Great album. And then the last one, Shades of Deep Purple. I've never, I've heard Machine Head, but beyond that, I've never really gotten much into Deep Purple. I'm familiar with Blackmore, You know, I've listened to Blackmore's Rainbow. Like I said, I've listened to Machine Head, but that was kind of the extent of what I had listened to for Deep Purple. And I didn't realize that they had kind of started out as a psych band, so this is pretty cool. And I was obviously familiar with Hush, and their remake of Help on here is really cool. But just a great, great album. I was really happy with this when I gave it a listen yesterday. So another one that I'd recommend if you're into Richie Blackmore and just good guitar. If you're into Deep Purple, if you're into Rainbow, or if you're into Psych, check it out. That's pretty much it, VC. Those are all of my recent purchases from the last week or two. Leave me a video. Tell me what you think. Other than that, take care and have a good one.